You are typically that rebellious kid that does not want to go into the family business.
I would say the other way around. My parents were gracious when I didn't want to do. They didn't let. I mean, they were okay with that. I think it's the opportunities they give you.
Coming back to India in 2004, and then what was in your head?
So I was deeply into economics and finance. So I was developing algorithms to trade the Nifty futures.
How has the journey been with IIAD?
IIAD has been phenomenal, and there was a personal reason I wanted to do it because a project-based learning education is far more relevant to today's world than this textbook chalk and talk education. We've had 7 batches out. Many students have been placed in great companies. Nobody's ever asked for anybody's grade.
I think the ownership of that kid has to be with the institution. What do you think about it?
Back in my era or your era, when we went to colleges and universities, you went to a prestigious university as a signaling value. So I think future recruiting is going to happen based on
Hi, welcome everyone. This is Ankur Vora, your host for Intersect by Masters Union podcast series. Today we have with us Dr. Jitin Chadha, founder and director at IIAD. Dr. Jitin, such a pleasure and an honor to have you here with us.
Thank you, Ankur. A pleasure and honor to be part of your podcast.
We met recently not recently, last year now in August at IC3 conference, and we had an instant connection. And I realized that I have been a great fan of your work at ISBF. To be honest, I have visited ISBF, and early on in my career, ISBF, Indian School of Banking and Finance, I have met many very, very good professionals that came out of it, worked with me in admissions and outreach at Jindal, UP Jindal Global University. And then I also had the honor of visiting ISBF recently and see the work that you have done. And now with IIAD, again, a fantastic institution. This podcast gives me an opportunity to know more about the people that come here as my guest. And I read about you. A Ph.D. in finance from Delhi University, University of Warwick, and I think you also had a stint at Stanford University where you went for a program, a short-term program, I think. And then doing phenomenal things again now in design education. Early on, you revolutionized, the international education in India with the Indian School of Banking and Finance, and with that partnership that you had with LSE. I think such an honor, and looking forward to this conversation. But before we dive into the professional aspects of your life, phenomenal work that you have done, I just want to also understand, and this is a tradition here at our podcast series, that we spend 5-10 minutes on the person behind the celebration that we are here to do today. Your early years as a student yourself, your own academic journey, the school that you went to, the universities, and any family values that have, I truly believe that there are certain family values that stick with us throughout our lives. And what are those values? Any remarkable experiences in your educational experiences? Please, sir, over to you.
Thank you, Ankur. Pleasure to be here. And let's start with the background. I was born and brought up in Delhi for most of my life. And then my parents in the mid-80s relocated to Germany for the wisdom they had to set a business there. And after a few years, they put me in a boarding school, a British boarding school. I don't know how they found it, called Aiglon College in Switzerland.
Okay.
And so in early 90s, as a young, maybe I was 13 years old or something, went to a different world. That was a very interesting experience of my life. And around mid-90s, my parents moved back. My grandparents were getting old. And they asked me to spend, 1 year with my family because I was not planning to come to India for higher education after that. And then the only school in Delhi which was offering A levels was the British school. So I ended up in the British school, finished my schooling there, which was also a really great experience. So I've changed 3 schools in my life in 2 countries.
Okay.
So I think experiences shape you, and being in a boarding school which had 50 nationalities and only 400 students, got to interface with people from all over the world at a very young age. and that really helps shape your worldview.
Yeah.
And then I think enjoyed Delhi so much with the family affection and love and the luxuries they throw at you. I ended up doing my undergrad at Delhi University. My family business used to be garment exports, and even in Germany it was garment trade. I did that a bit with them, and I told my parents, I don't think I can do this for the rest of my life. It's something, I'm not really enjoying.
Yeah.
And my parents were very gracious. They said, do whatever you want. We are here to support you. And like all Indian students who want to run away from their family businesses, they go and do a master's.
ये सही है, बिल्कुल सही बात है.
That's a good excuse to get out there. They can't say no.
Yeah.
Right? And they think you're doing something productive. I enjoyed studying economics in school and even in college, so I thought that I should do economics. It sounds like an interesting subject. That's how I ended up in Warwick.
Warwick.
Yeah, because I'd done BCom, I didn't have an economics kind of the quant background, so I did a course called Diploma in Economics. That's like 3 years of undergrad packed in 1 year,
Okay.
which was the toughest course I've ever done in my life.
Okay.
And then if you get a high grade there, then you get admission into a master's.
Okay.
So I think that was probably the hardest I ever worked in academic because you're too embarrassing to come back.
Yeah.
Luckily, I got the grade. I went and did my master's in economics and finance. And around 2003 and 2004, I felt like I wanted to come back to India. I like being in India. I like being with my family. And I came back with a clean slate. There was really nothing. There was no, in that sense, family business to fall back on because I'd given that up long ago.
So you are typically that rebellious kid that does not want to go into that family business, want to chart his own path. Is it correct?
I mean, that's a way to put it. I mean, I would say the other way around. My parents were gracious. When I didn't want to do, they didn't let. I mean, they were okay with that. I think it's the opportunities they give you more than being gracious.
So you did finance, economics, University of Warwick. Coming back to India in 2003 or 2004,
practically.
2004.
Yeah.
And then what was in your head? I mean, what were you wanted to build a business?
So I was deeply into economics and finance. So I was developing algorithms to trade the Nifty futures and other futures.
Oh,
right?
wow. That's futuristic in 2004.
So I thought I'd learned some quant. Let me put it to good use. And that was something I was doing and trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do. And I met a professor, Professor Sanjay Sehgal, who's still at the Department of Finance in Delhi University. He and I met at LSE in 2001. I did a short course at LSE prior to going to Warwick in corporate finance. And he was, I think, on deputation there, so he was co-teaching. He was from Delhi, I was from Delhi. I think we used to just enjoy having each other's company for coffee or tea after classes.
This is 2001, 2002, not many, you were mentioning not many Indians.
Back then you wouldn't see too many Indians in these universities. So I think both of us are happy to find each other. And anyway, when you find a professor who's interested to talk to you, you're very happy talking to them.
Yeah.
Right. And we are still very, very close friends. He's been my mentor since then. So when I came back, I met him. And he asked me what I was doing. I told him I'm making these algorithms to trade the future, and I think I can make money and maybe someday make a fund out of it. Yeah. His interest is also, his research area is also in quantitative trading systems and other things, right? And stock markets and efficiencies and all that stuff. So he found the topic very interesting. He says, why don't you do a Ph.D. under me with this? Because I'd already done a master's, and that was an unexpected conversation. And one thing led to the other, and one day I find myself enrolled.
You are now a PhD also.
Yeah, so
Delhi University.
That was the unintended outcome. So I used to go to him once a week to discuss about whatever the thesis and all that. But we would discuss a lot about the state of education. I then thought, and I still think economics is a great discipline to study. It's a great combination of quant and understanding of the economy. And when I was finishing high school, getting admission into Delhi University Economic Honors was impossible. And there were such few seats. I said, why can't we have more courses in economics?
Yeah.
And it's a great course. And, we have enough bright students to go around. And I remember London School of Economics had this concept through the University of London of teaching centers. They were very successful in many parts of the world. Singapore was a great example, even in Pakistan, Malaysia, many developing countries. And I thought that was a brilliant idea, that if you could study the London School of Economics curriculum in Delhi, wouldn't that be a brilliant idea?
Absolutely.
And being in a university environment, those are the kind of conversations you have. And I had that with my prof, and I was really sold to that area. I was very young, and then I started working on that, and that's what led to this, the establishment of ISBF, which is Indian School of Business and Finance.
Business and Finance.
Yeah, it's common here. And we started in 2006 with just 6 students.
Okay.
And that's how my journey in higher education began.
With 6 students.
With 6 students, right? And we slowly developed that and grew.
And was it out of the same campus, that ISPF in Lajpat Nagar?
So it was earlier in Okla, then we shifted to Lajpat Nagar. And we ran that for a long time there. So I was from conception to establishing, from 2006 all the way, I think, till 2022, I was involved in ISBF. A long journey. And I mean, I don't know if you're ahead of our times or what, but back in 2006, there was no regulation around, private undergraduate programs and foreign programs. So I think one of the biggest challenges we used to face was, trying to convince the regulators. They said, we don't have a policy around it, so we don't know where to fit you. But the students were interested. The outcomes were great. The curriculum was great. We learned a lot on how to teach, quality education through that association. But around 2012, I was kind of almost convinced that it's very, very difficult to scale it beyond a point unless the government is willing to, come out with some regulation to accept these foreign programs, which it didn't then, as you know. And then I realized that, that's great, and there's so much learning that we have got on how to run a college. And then I was just looking around and I said, okay, what is beyond economics and finance, right? And what I realized was around 2012-13 that there weren't many design schools in Delhi NCR, right? Very few. And design meant fashion.
Yes.
So one of the things I didn't tell you is that when I finished British school, I did a year at NIFT also.
Acha, I didn't know that. That was
so there was a little bit of stint with, and there was only one NIFT in India in 96, NIFT Delhi. So it was impossible to get into. But that's a different story, how I got into it.
So after school?
Right after school. That was also a phenomenal experience I had. It was a brand new campus in Hoskas, because they were in Indraprastha earlier. Yeah. And so around back to 2013, then I felt that, why not come into a space where there isn't much there, so you can add more value. There are a lot of management schools, a lot of technology schools, and all these schools, law schools, everything. But I was like, why aren't there enough design schools? And that's where the idea of establishing a design school came in about 2013. Then I worked on it. We partnered with a really top-notch design school in UK, Kingston School of Art, part of Kingston University. So Kingston School of Art for the last 3-4 years in Times ranking has been number 1 in London. They're really, really good at what they do. And I think the LSE Association really gave them that confidence that they've been working with the UK university for a decade. So I'm sure they understand what they're doing. And that's how the partnership came about. And Indian Institute of Art and Design, which is IIAD, our first batch of students came in 2015.
2015. Just completed 10 years.
We just completed 10 years. Yeah,
congratulations.
Thank you.
And so how has the journey been with IIAD?
IIAD has been phenomenal. And there was a personal reason I wanted to do it, because with ISBF, working with LSE is, quite a learning experience. But in that relationship, the curriculum is given to you. You teach that curriculum. We wanted to go beyond it. And frankly, by that time, I thought that perhaps there's a better way to teach rather than this lecture and chalk and talk and, rote learning and all that stuff. And when I explored design education, we weren't the first ones, but this concept of studio or project-based learning was, prevalent in many parts of the world. Right? It's actually a skill-based education at the end of the day. So the association Kingston was that we will write the curriculum or co-write it, right? And they will validate the curriculum, right? So we wrote the curriculum, we wrote the assessment, and we got in, some of our core team who's still with us, who believe that there's a better way to deliver education, through projects rather than through textbooks and curriculum. And in design, that's a lot easier to do and get a lot of practitioners to come and teach. So for us, it was almost an experiment in how can we give a better pedagogy, and design as a discipline was a great medium to do it through.
Okay.
And when we set up the campus, they're just large halls and studio spaces, right? And students sit in clusters. And I'm talking about 2015. Maybe what I'm telling you is common practice. Maybe it's not. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But in 2015, it wasn't common practice. And because we wrote the curriculum, we wrote the assessment. So basically, the curriculum was you do a series of projects, 2 weeks projects, 4 weeks projects, 6 weeks projects. So in a year, you end up doing many projects, and you create a portfolio of your work, right? Which is true for many design schools. And I mean, I personally realized that is a much better way to deliver education. And our focus was not just on fashion. We have a fashion design course, but our focus was to, really expose people to the other disciplines of design, as in visual communication, interior architecture, product design, and many other aspects, which are now more commonly known, but a decade ago.
Oh, yeah.
Also, I think one of the interesting challenges was that, at least in 2015, around that time, a lot of parents weren't convinced that, they would say, "Mera bacha drawing mein acha hai, to design karega."
Yeah.
But will he get a job? Will he ever earn money? Him or her, right? I mean, basically education and investment in making a career which is fair, that you got to kind of, earn a living.
What is the
out of it.
ROI?
Yeah, what is the ROI? Or at least a career, if not even an ROI. And we spend a lot of time convincing people that this is a discipline where there are more career opportunities than the traditional programs. The good part I've seen in the last decade journey is that perception is gone. It's improved for the better. That now people do not ask us that question, because we fortunately had, great success stories, and our students done really well. Because today, design is everywhere. You go to a mall, a restaurant,
Yeah.
is more about how the restaurant is designed,
Yeah.
right? The experience it gives you,
Yeah.
or even a campus, right? Or even a cafe, and even a website or an app, which is user experience design, right? And in the last decade, all marketing is content marketing. So basically, you're creating content on YouTube, Instagram. So the entire communication or brand communication is through a visual medium, right? And it's all visual storytelling at the end of the day. And I mean, interior design is also visual storytelling. So I can go to a themed restaurant, I can have a tropical theme. So it's an experience that you create, right? So basically, it's about creating experiences, whether physical or digital. So we were fortunate that I think design as a discipline by the industry gained more traction. I think as a result, the design school also grew, and the acceptability of design graduate grew a lot. And yeah, it was a phenomenal journey. And about 3-4 years back, we realized we've run out of campus space.
So so now where is the campus? I mean, before we dive in further, I mean, just want to know the growth of your institution. You said you started in 2014.
15 was the first set of
batch.
students.
How
80
many students joined?
I think it was about 80 or 90 students.
80 or 90, and the campus was in Okla.
The campus is still in Oakland.
Okla,
Yeah.
the same campus. And
Yeah.
then how did it grow? I mean, over the years.
So we capped out at taking admissions 3 years back, because we ran out of space.
Okay.
We had designed the campus for 800-900 students.
Okay.
Today we are 1100
1100
students on campus. But we saw that coming about 3 years back, so we had to build a larger campus.
And then I think now we can come to the larger campus that you are building in Gurgaon, and then now you are all set to become a university also. So please tell us all the good news.
Thank you. So, about 4 years back, we realized that I think we need to, and design as a discipline requires a lot of space, a lot of workshops as well. So it's space intensive. We thought Gurgaon was a good place, because we wanted to be around the corporate ecosystem, because how we teach at IIAD is a lot of through practitioners. And you're in Gurgaon, all the Fortune 500 companies are right here. And education needs to be far more in sync with industry than it's ever been. So you have to be located right in that sense.
Yeah.
We
We truly believe in this, what you are saying.
Yeah, absolutely. We also completely believe in that, and it's become more relevant even now going forward. So 4 years back, we started looking for space. I mean, I think everyone knows Gurgaon is a good location, but there's no land left in Gurgaon.
No land.
So it's not a secret that it's not a good location, especially institutional land. There's so many regulations around the kind of land you can use and so on and so forth. It's a highly regulated space. We were very, very fortunate. After 2 years of hunt, we found a great location near Golf Course Extension Road, Sector 60 at Gurgaon, 5 acres. And we started constructing the campus. But before we started constructing the campus, we spent a lot of time thinking about, we are sitting in 2022-23, post-COVID kind of era. The world has changed. AI was just about, coming through. So what kind of campus would you make today? Would you make the same? I mean, people say we'll make an Harvard, but the Harvard was 500 years ago. If Harvard had to break down its building and build it today, it might build it differently.
Very different.
Right? So the point is we reference very prestigious institutions who were made many centuries back. Right? So one thing we decided is because we also offer interior architecture, so we have a lot of architects who are part of our ecosystem. So we are fortunate to be plugged in with the architectural ecosystem, faculty as well. So we spent a lot of time debating that what should a 21st century university look like, or a design-focused university. And one thing we concluded is that let's go and find an architect who's never made a higher education institution.
Okay.
Right? That was the eligibility criteria to become our architect for the project, because we thought that if you made enough campus and colleges, and met a lot of them as well, they would have made what they've been made for everyone else.
Yeah.
And we thought there's a lost opportunity to do that. So we went to an architecture of practice, which was very creative, and they haven't done much work in higher education. And with them, we spent the first 6 months debating on the philosophy of the campus. One thing we realized in Gurgaon is, as you're part of Gurgaon as well, is that Gurgaon has the most amazing apartments, corporate offices, restaurants, bars, malls, everything. But it lacks cultural spaces, right? So you don't have an India Habitat Center or India International Center or Lalit Kala Art Academy or Triveni or anything else. And it's a city which is, filled with people who are all knowledge workers. So they're all well educated, well traveled. So I said, why don't we make a campus which will double up as a cultural space?
Brilliant.
So how do we give something back to the cities, for the city that we're going to become part of, right? And at the very beginning itself, we had that conversation. In fact, even the architect proposed that idea, and we all loved the idea that how can we create a space which can have multiple usage? And that's how we started building the design of the campus. So the campus will be ready in a couple of months. So we'll have a 4,000 square feet art gallery. We'll have a multi-purpose auditorium. We'll have an open-air amphitheater. So it is actually designed to hold cultural events, and which is quite symbiotic to what we're trying to do, and synergistic, because we're going to be moving IIAD into this campus, and we'd applied to the government of Haryana to get a university status, and I can say that with pleasure that it's been a long 3-year journey, and on 6th January of this year, we got notified as a private university, state private university.
University of Design and Technology.
Yeah, it's called University of Design, Innovation and Technology.
Design, Innovation and Technology.
UDIT.
UDIT.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
3-year long journey.
Yeah, it's been a long journey.
Wonderful.
And a testing journey.
Yeah, I can understand.
So we are very, very excited to occupy this new space, but we're also very excited that how we'll bring that space to life on weekends and evenings, and get a lot of people of residents of Gurgaon to experience that space.
Awesome.
Look forward to inviting you.
We'll definitely love to visit you. And I think I love the idea of, you're not just building a university, but a community space. And I think Gurgaon needs one. And I think a cultural center sounds exciting. I think as somebody that based out of Gurgaon, I think that is one thing that we miss. And I think your own vision is phenomenal. I mean, it's just not a university campus, and it adds value to the institution as well. I think the community, and it's like a symbiotic relationship. I truly believe that universities have to, I think one of the things that I believe Indian universities miss out is giving back to the community that they are part of. And I think from the inception, when you say we brainstormed for 6 months to come up with that campus idea, I think that shows the depth of the passion that you have in building this space. So more power to you, Jitin sir. Then you also have, I think now you're also launching new programs. I think we're not only design, I think the university gives you more, with more power comes more responsibility kind of a thing.
So again, we spend a lot of time thinking about what we should do beyond design. And and we realized that I think what happens in larger universities, and they've been built over years, is that you'll have a school of management, you'll have a school of technology, you'll have a school of law, and somehow they don't seem to interact with each other, right? So I call them, there are schools sharing a campus space, but not sharing knowledge, right? Which I'm sure is challenging because old institutions are built, and and they have merit in what they have done, and to change old institutions, even part of some prestigious institution, is not easy, right? You have to try and make an elephant dance is not easy. And when you're trying to make something from scratch, right? Although we bring the design aspect, we're moving our students there. So we felt that, given the situation we are in, we are sitting in 2026. And whenever I talk to parents, and particularly about undergraduate programs, because we are undergraduate heavy as an institution, and I tell the parents that when you admit your child to a college this summer, right, August of 2026, they're going to graduate in summer of 2030. Now let's take a moment and reflect, what will 2030 look like, right? What is the future of work? I mean, that's our responsibility.
Yes,
right? Because the curriculum has to be designed today for 2030.
So yes, you have to
right? You can't
prepare
design
them for 2030. Yes.
So most institutions, I mean, most parents and institutions are still in what I call the rear view mentality. कि ऐसे चल रहा था तो ऐसे ही चलता रहेगा, which with technological disruptions and AI is completely rewriting the future of work, right? At a pace none of us can keep up with it. So at UDIT and IIAD we spend a lot of time with the faculty figuring out what does 2030 look like, and what kind of curriculum will suit a graduate of 2030, right? And I think if you're trying to build a university today and you're trying to set up 3 schools, it is the intersection of those 3 schools where magic can be created, right? Right. So how do we take design, technology, and management and try and create some kind of integration? You still study design, but take like a Venn diagram. The 3 circles. What is the overlap that you're trying to create, and how one school complements the other? So we thought a combination of these 3 schools would be very complementary to each other, because today when you're designing something, you need to market it. There has to be a user, a need. That's where management comes in, and tech is in everything, right? And even the tech. So if you take somebody who's doing BTech computer science, they might learn how to code, but they haven't understood the user, or the user experience, or the user persona, or the need for that product. So I think these disciplines are being taught in silos. A little bit of overlap can create a better outcome. Because I think the graduates which industry is looking for is the one who has a knowledge in one, but an appreciation of the others.
Absolutely. Cannot, as somebody who worked with the founding team at Ashoka, we talked about interdisciplinary education. I cannot resonate more with what you have just said. And I think you're absolutely correct. As a university, we now need to think about our students that will be graduating in 2030, and with all the disruption that is happening all around us, I think it's pretty clear that we need to train our students not in the ways that have been in the past, and we have to think of new ideas. I loved your idea about how everybody talks about building a Harvard, but Harvard was built 600 or many years,
500 years ago,
500, 600, whatever is the number, many 100 years ago. And I think that the requirement today is much different than what, and probably you're absolutely correct. Harvard, if today it was to be built, they would think of a very different kind of a place to be built.
Yeah, even this, the same team would think differently, because we are in different, post-COVID, we are actually in a different era.
Yeah, absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
And another thing what we're really excited about UDID is that, I've had experience of teaching economics and finance with the LSE experience, and then we run the design school where we wrote the curriculum and we wrote the projects. I think I can say without doubt, a project-based learning education is far more relevant to today's world than this, textbook chalk and talk education. And what we're trying to do at UDIT is that take that philosophy of project and studio-based learning, where outcomes are portfolios and not transcripts. I can tell you that, we've had 7 batches out. Many students have been placed in great companies. Nobody's ever asked for anybody's grade. They look at their portfolio,
wow,
their project of work.
This is
right?
music to our ears.
Right? Nobody is ever asked कि इसके marks क्या हैं. Students submit their portfolio projects, and if they like the work they've done, if it resonates with the company, they get hired. And it's
Wonderful.
the quality of the portfolio which when we're establishing the School of Management, School of Technology, we are going to teach everything through project and studio-based learning. So we are taking the philosophy of design education and applying it to how we teach management and technology education, right? Because I truly believe with AI, a management student can also have a portfolio of work. Maybe the apps you've built or the products you've created or the problems you've solved, right? Today, technology allows us to do that. So why would you care about grades or transcripts? You go there and you show what you built, right? So you got to build something and you got to be hired on what you're building.
This is what we are trying to do at Masters Union as well. I mean, this is all what we learn by doing. And I mean, one of the courses, very, very innovative courses that we have is dropshipping challenge. When the student comes in first semester, we ask them to build a business. Right. We say we have come here to learn business. I think the first thing is you should learn to build a business yourself.
Absolutely.
So, and definitely under mentors, advice and support. But we truly resonate, and I think you are absolutely correct. Having done it already with design, project-based learning, education, and then your ISPF experience, I think it's a brilliant intersection of both and you are yourself. I think 20 years over the last.
It's been a 20-year journey now.
20 years of building institutions and working with thousands of students and building teams and then building curriculum and then faculty and then, I mean, so many things you would have done. I think more power to you. I think brilliant. I think India needs more people like you to come and reimagine the way we do our higher education. I think more power. And I look forward to being there at the campus launch in June or July, whenever it is happening. We'll love to be part of those celebrations and then continue our partnership. I also want to take a moment here now to you have been at Masters Union. And you were mentioning that Pratham in early years when he was also thinking of building Masters Union. And so, what is your you want to spend a couple of minutes on talking about Masters Union and what we are doing here?
I mean, I think if Pratham ever ran a class for education entrepreneurs on marketing and content marketing, I would be the first to sign up. Right? He is absolutely brilliant. I think and truly, at least, we believe we are unconventional people. But when I look at Pratham, I get so excited. And I think he's truly done something completely unconventional. And the way he's done it, the way he's built a brand in such a short period of time, I think it's amazing. And I agree with you that when you said that, I think the common belief really is that we need to reimagine how we deliver education, in 2026. The space in which we deliver it, how we deliver it, and who teaches it. I think that way, we are our philosophies align a lot there. And absolutely brilliant job Prathan has done.
I just want to add to one of the conversations that we were having just before this to conclude this conversation. I think what you were saying is universities also worldwide need to reimagine how they are teaching the undergrads. I mean, undergrads are not the byproducts or a nuisance. I mean, for universities, the teaching is the main, because I believe that, and this is not a India-centric problem globally. The teaching aspect of universities, and that's why you see the debate even in the West, relevance of universities. Is higher education going to survive? Is it worth it to spend such a big amount of money on those universities? And now we know the global geopolitical environment. I mean, it is much more expensive to study abroad. I mean, hundreds and thousands of our students are going abroad. We have so much happening. So I think teaching young kids at undergrad level and taking ownership of their careers is now going to become a key point in university or higher education business, if I were to call it. It cannot be that an undergrad student comes in and at the end of 4 years we give him a degree and then tell him, okay, son, find your way in the real world. I think that business is no longer valid. I think the ownership of that kid has to be with the institutions. What do you think about that?
So I'll give you a slightly 5-minute long answer to this question. It's a very valuable and important question everybody needs to talk about. Back in my era or your era, when we went to colleges and universities, you went to a prestigious university as a signaling value.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you went to an Ivy League university, it meant that you're smart.
Yes.
Right? I don't need to look at what you studied, how you studied, your portfolio work, nothing. I just saw your degree.
Yeah.
And that's called the signaling value. So it's actually nothing but a signaling value. Today, in this AI-driven world. And when I say today, I mean I'm talking about somebody passing now out in 2030, because that's the context we are trying to talk to, right? The people, parents we meet today, or students or parents we meet in even class 8, 9, 10th, 11th. I think that era is over. And let's see, maybe 10 years later, we'll have a conversation. I think the Ivy League era is also over, in my opinion, because now, as I said, told you in design, you go with a portfolio. Now in management, you can build products. Low code, you can build solutions.
Absolutely.
Right? You can show a skill set through a portfolio of projects you've done.
Yes.
So I think future recruiting is going to happen based on what you've created and what you've done. Not on the signaling value of the university you went to. Because there was no other way to evaluate. Now the method of evaluating by a corporate has changed.
Absolutely.
Right? At the corporate level, it's already changed. At the university level, most people haven't realized it's changed.
Yes, absolutely. And that is I think that is the inflection point that we are seeing right now. In being in the industry, being in the real world, we see that and you see it when you're talking to your friends who are looking for jobs and early freshers that I guide. I mean, all of them, when they apply to these job postings, A, they are very limited now. B, they are asked, what have you built? What is the real world experience? I don't want just to see your degree or this is the number of marks that you had on your mark sheet that you are 90% or gold medalist. What is it that you have added value to?
Exactly.
The ecosystem? That's the question that everybody is looking for.
As I told you, in design, in 7 years, no recruiters ask for anybody's mark sheet.
Absolutely. And this is happening in business as well. Yeah. I mean, why would I care about how much marks did you score in Econ 1-on-1? I want to see what have you built as a business, or how have you added value to a business, or whatever it is. I mean, finance or business or economics or whatever you do. I think that is the real story now. That is the point that our higher education system is coming to.
Yeah. So maybe, in 10, 20 years, there will be new emergent universities who would have thought differently, and there might be a real disruption. And people at least who come with fresh ideas and fresh thoughts.
You mentioned Pratham. I think I've been part of Masters Union and worked with Pratham and Swati for last 3 years now. I think one of the also reasons for the fast growth of us at Masters Union has been because the brightest of the kids, and we have kids here who could have gone anywhere in the world. I mean, they had offers from all these places, Ivy Leagues and LSE and Warwick and all these places, but they still didn't choose to go there because. And I asked them, because I head admissions and outreach here, so why did you choose Masters Union? Is it that we really love the idea of building something by our own hand in the first semester? The other institutions, whatever it is, most of them have not changed. They're still following that pen and paper and rote learning, and that is what you give an exam and then probably get on your way with a degree. I mean, that is no longer valid. And the smart ones are already seeing it. The smart kids are already seeing this kind of change that has come up.
You're absolutely right. The 17-year-olds and the 18-year-olds realize the value of what you're doing.
Their
parents might not.
But they realize.
They realize the value. And increasingly they are becoming the decision makers.
Yes.
Right? So...
and they guide their parents. Papa, this is not the 1980s or 1990s now. No longer 2000s also.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's interesting times for higher education, and keeping this philosophy in mind. We call ourselves the University for Creators. Absolutely. At a UDIT.
That's what I love about you. That's what I love about your vision and the mission that you're building your university by. I think this is the future, and more power to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jitin sir, for your time. Really appreciate it. An honor. And I will look forward to our continued collaboration.
Absolutely. A real pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you, sir.